Well, we begin first up with the latest on tensions between Iran and the US that have escalated sharply in the Strait of Hormuz. In fact, in the latest, a US destroyer fired on and even seized an Iranian-flagged cargo ship in the Gulf of Oman. According to the US Central Command, the Iranian vessel Tuska was transiting the North Arabian Sea and was en route Iran's Bandar Abbas. CENTCOM now says that the vessel ignored multiple warnings over a 6-hour period, which led to US missile destroyer USS Pruance to fire at the Iranian vessel's engine room. CENTCOM has also said that US Marines boarded the vessel and the ship is now in its custody. However, Iranian media reports suggest that the IRGC naval units responded to the shooting incident and forced the US destroyer to retreat. According to marine traffic data, the Tuska is a container ship which left Port Klang in Malaysia 8 days ago. According to Vessel Finder, the ship was headed to the Iranian port city of Bandar Abbas. In a post on Truth Social, President Donald Trump said that the Iranian vessel was attempting to breach the US naval blockade, which forced the US Navy to intercept the vessel and take it in its custody. Iran's military has pledged to respond against the US action. In fact, a spokesperson for the Iranian military's command center has labeled the US action as armed piracy and vowed to retaliate soon. He has also accused the US of violating the ceasefire, which has been in place since 8th of April. As tensions escalate, the second round of Iran-US talks are now in a limbo. Iranian state broadcaster IRIB has cited Iranian sources as saying that Tehran has currently no plans to participate in the next round of talks. Now, this essentially comes after President Donald Trump had said that new negotiations would take place in Islamabad. Trump had even said that the US has offered a fair and reasonable deal, and that if Iran rejects the deal, the US will knock out every single power plant and every single bridge in Iran. Reports suggest that US naval blockade and what Tehran considers as unreasonable and unrealistic demands are among the chief reasons for its refusal to join the talks. The seizure of Iranian cargo ship has further complicated matters. Iran's ambassador to Pakistan, Reza Amiri, has articulated Tehran's position. In a post on X, the Iranian envoy accused the US of violating international law and insisted on unreasonable demands on the latter's part. Amid questions looming questions over second round of talks, Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif held a telephonic call with Iranian President Pezeshkian. According to a statement by the Prime Minister's office, Sharif and Pezeshkian discussed the current regional situation. Interestingly, the statement makes no mention of the second round of talks or a visit by the Iranian delegation. And all of this while thousands gathered in Tehran to rally in support of the Iranian regime, with many even voicing a complete distrust towards the US. It was on Sunday that Trump had reposted an old video on Truth Social which showed Iranians drawing a graffiti on a wall which read, "President Trump, please help." The video first shared by Trump at the beginning of the unrest in Iran.
We are not afraid of war. Even if not just one attack, but continuous attacks are carried out against our country, we will certainly move forward with greater strength and authority. But in my view, given the situation as it is developing, the United States and Israel have no option but to surrender to Iran's demands.
And to discuss more on the evolving situation in West Asia, we earlier spoke with Colonel David Roches from Washington, D.C., who is a senior professor at Thayer Marshall Institute and former deputy director for peacekeeping in the Office of the Secretary of Defense. An excerpt of what he had to say earlier.
I don't know if it will resume in an expanded section. I think, though, that that's probable. I think that what the United States will probably do is, it depends. They have one of two ways to go. Well, the first is the one that I just sketched out, where there's a measured, proportionate response where it's directed against Iran's naval assets, locate the base that the Revolutionary Guard boats that attacked the Indian tankers took off from, destroy that base, their higher headquarters, and work your way as far up the chain as you can to the naval headquarters in Tehran, if possible. The second possibility is to say, we really have to let the Iranians know that if they don't negotiate, they're going to get something really bad. That usually involves expanding the target set. Normally, the American way of war, when we only conduct a war by air power, is we bomb for a while, and then when we see that air power alone doesn't achieve all of our objectives, the target set to be bombed expands. So if you look at the Kosovo campaign in 1999, initially that was limited just against the Serbian police, which were carrying out a genocide against the Kosovars, but it expanded over 66 days to the point where every bridge and every power plant, every bridge over in Belgrade and every power plant in Serbia was destroyed or damaged.